I now call the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak.
Mr. Speaker, Sir Brian Langstaff has today published the final report of the Infected Blood Inquiry. This is a day of shame for the British state. Today's report shows a decades-long moral failure at the heart of our national life. From the National Health Service to the civil service, to ministers in successive governments, at every level, the people and institutions in which we place our trust failed in the most harrowing and devastating way. They failed the victims and their families. And the result of this inquiry should shake our nation to its core. This should have been avoided. It was known these treatments were contaminated. Warnings were ignored repeatedly. Time and again, people in positions of power and trust had the chance to stop the transmission of those infections. I find it almost impossible to comprehend how it must have felt. Today, I want to speak directly to the victims and their families, some of whom are with us in the gallery. I want to make a wholehearted and unequivocal apology for this terrible injustice.
Call Keir Starmer, the Leader of the Opposition.
With permission, Mr. Speaker, we are establishing the Infected Blood Compensation Authority, an arm's-length body to administer the compensation scheme. Where the infected person has died, estate representatives will receive compensation as a single. If you have been directly or indirectly infected by NHS blood, blood products, or tissue contaminated with HIV or hepatitis C, or have developed a chronic infection from blood contaminated with hepatitis B, you will be eligible to claim compensation under the scheme. And our expectation is that final payments will start before the end of the year. So when a person with an eligible infection has been accepted onto the scheme, their affected loved ones will be able to apply for compensation in their own right. That means partners, parents, siblings, children and friends and family who have acted as carers of those who are infected are all eligible to claim. At the same level until the 31st of March 2025, and they will not be deducted. Today I'm announcing that the government will be making further interim payments ahead of the establishment of the full scheme. Payments of £210,000 will be made to living infected beneficiaries, those registered with existing infected blood support schemes, as well as those who register with a support scheme before the final scheme becomes operational. I know that time is of the essence, which is why I'm also pleased to say we will also guarantee that any payments made to those eligible will be exempt from income, capital gains and inheritance tax, as well as disregard from means-tested benefit assessments.
Can I just say, lots of members want to get in, and all members will get in.
Well, here it is. 7 volumes. There's quite a lot of detail in it. In families across the UK, people, adults and children, were treated in hospital and at home with blood and blood products, and that NHS treatment resulted in over 30,000 people being infected with viruses which were life-shattering. Over 3,000 have already died, and that number is climbing week by week. Tragically, the infections happen because those in authority, doctors, the blood services, and successive governments did not put patient safety first. They lost sight of what was known about the risks of viral infections from blood. Doctor knows best was such a strong belief that health departments did not issue guidance to curb the unsafe use of blood and blood products. Decision-making on measures that could make blood and blood products safer was put off, then dragged out unnecessarily, and failed to reach clear and decisive conclusions.
Together with the governments in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland to deal with some of the things you've been talking about, whether that...
The government and the NHS should have a duty of care towards us. They infected us, they've given us death sentences. We shouldn't have to be queued up for scans, and there should be best practice throughout the country, not a lottery of what hospital you go to. So until that is put in place for the infected, and hopefully if it's put in place it may prevent some early deaths, then money's nothing and talk's nothing.